In the emotionally charged world of the young and the restless, few stories have struck a chord quite like Cole's final journey. His saga, marked by quiet determination and deep sacrifice, unfolds as one of the most poignant narratives in the series. The ticking clock on his life brings with it both an overwhelming sense of inevitability and a desperate attempt to make amends, to leave behind something beautiful before his time runs out. As Cole grapples with his terminal illness, he knows his fate is sealed. Death is no longer a distant fear, but a looming certainty. Cole's quiet struggle. Cole had always been a man of strength, both physically and emotionally. But now, facing an illness that relentlessly eats away at him, he's forced to confront the harsh reality that there is no longer any escape. For a time, there were whispers, murmurs among those who doubted the authenticity of his condition, suggesting he was pretending, putting on a facade of sickness to garner sympathy or escape his responsibilities. These voices were never loud enough to shake Cole, but they lingered in his mind, a constant reminder of how misunderstood he truly was. The pain, however, was real. It seared through him like 1,000 knives, but Cole never let it show. He chose to bear it in silence, determined not to let it destroy the life he still had left, especially the life he wanted to share with Victoria. His love for her had always been pure, and in the last days of his life, it had become his greatest motivator. He didn't want her to suffer. He didn't want to burden her with the reality of his suffering. She had already been through so much, and Cole wasn't willing to drag her down with him. The proposal. A final gesture. With time running out, Cole made a decision that would forever mark the end of his journey. It was an act of love, one that would live on in Victoria's heart long after he was gone. He had never done anything like it before. Despite all his charm and his occasional recklessness, Cole had never been one to propose, to offer up his heart in the form of a ring. But now, in the face of imminent death, he knew that this was the one thing he could give her. Something that would bind their souls together, even if only for a fleeting moment. The ring he chose for her was stunning, a perfect symbol of his love and the future they could have had if things had been different. He had carefully selected it, knowing it would symbolize everything he wanted to give her, even though he would not be there to share the life they had dreamed of. When he knelt before her, the finality of the moment weighed heavy on him. This was not just a proposal. It was the closing chapter of his life, a final chance to say everything he had been too scared to say before. He wanted Victoria to know that despite everything, she had been the light in his life, the one thing that made all the suffering bearable. Victoria's joy and Cole's final breath. Victoria, overwhelmed with emotion and joy, accepted the proposal. Her heart swelled with happiness, her dream finally coming true. She had always known Cole in his most passionate, most driven form, but now, she was about to step into the next chapter of her life, one where they would build a future together. At least, that's what she thought. For her, this was the culmination of everything she had ever wanted, a moment of pure love and hope. But for Cole, it was the end. As Victoria smiled, slipped the ring onto her finger, and looked into his eyes, Cole gave her a small, bittersweet smile. It was not the smile of a man rejoicing in his happiness, but the smile of someone who had found peace. As the joy of the moment enveloped Victoria, Cole's body betrayed him. The years of pain, the exhaustion, and the toll of the disease had finally caught up to him. He exhaled a final breath, his chest heaving for the last time, and then, he was gone. Victoria's happiness, so fragile and fleeting, was shattered in an instant. What should have been the happiest day of her life was instead transformed into the most devastating moment of her existence. She held his hand, feeling the warmth drain from his body as she whispered his name, begging him to wake up. But it was too late. The man she had just promised to spend the rest of her life with was now gone, leaving her with only the memory of the love they had shared. A tragic but honorable end. Cole's death was not just the end of his life. It was the end of a beautiful love story, one that will remain etched in the hearts of those who witnessed it. His decision to propose, knowing full well he wouldn't live to see their future together, was an act of profound love and selflessness. He didn't want Victoria to remember him as a sick man who couldn't provide her with the life she deserved. Instead, he wanted her to remember him as the man who loved her enough to leave her with something beautiful, even if it was only a fleeting moment. His death may have been tragic, but it was also an act of pride, dignity, and love. Cole had chosen to go out on his own terms, to leave behind a symbol of love for Victoria to cherish. In his final moments, he showed incredible strength, not just by enduring his illness in silence, but by making sure Victoria would always have something to remember him by. This was the legacy he left behind, a man who loved fiercely, even in the face of death. A heartbreaking legacy. Cole's passing leaves a void in Victoria's life that no amount of time or healing will ever fill. She will carry the weight of his love, the ring he gave her, and the memory of the man who sacrificed everything to make sure she had something beautiful to hold on to. It is a legacy of love, of selflessness, and of a tragic end that came too soon. In the world of the young and the restless, where drama and heartache often intertwine, Cole's story will remain one of the most heartbreaking and memorable. It is a reminder of the fragility of life, the power of love, and the beauty of making a final gesture before it all ends. Cole's final act. A tragic journey of love, sacrifice, and the uncertainty of fate in the vast tapestry of the young and the restless, where drama, heartbreak, and passion intertwine. The story of Cole stands out as one of profound sacrifice, love, and looming tragedy. His journey, filled with deep emotional highs and devastating lows, leads him to a moment that will forever change the course of his life and the lives of those he holds dear. As Cole grapples with a terminal illness, facing the bitter reality of death closing in on him, the weight of this final chapter carries both hope and a deep, haunting despair. But in the face of his imminent demise, Cole's story takes an unexpected turn, leaving his loved ones questioning whether this really is the end or merely another chapter in his complex life. The end seems inevitable. The heart-wrenching scene unfolds as Cole's lifeless body lies in front of Claire and Victoria. Both women, desperate to save him, can only watch helplessly as the pulse of life slips away. Claire, her hands trembling, presses them against his chest, feeling nothing but the stillness that marks his departure. She cries out in sheer agony, her voice torn between disbelief and sorrow. She cannot fathom the reality of what's happening. Cole, the man who had been a constant figure in her life, is gone. His absence, while anticipated, is still unbearable. Victoria, equally distraught, holds onto Cole's hand, refusing to believe that the man she had so deeply loved could be taken away so suddenly. The sound of sirens wailing in the distance becomes the soundtrack to their grief. The 911 call made in a frantic attempt to save him now seems like an empty gesture, a futile act that cannot undo what has already been done. The doctors will confirm what they already know: Cole is gone. But in the midst of this unbearable grief, there remains a question, lingering in the air like a shadow. Is this truly the end for Cole? The Young and the Restless is no stranger to twists and turns, and as fans of the show know all too well, nothing is ever as it seems. Could this moment of finality be just another elaborate deception, a clever ruse to throw us off course? Is it possible that Cole's death is a mere illusion, a trick designed to deceive those around him? The mysterious deaths of Ian and Jordan, could Cole be faking it? To understand the possibility of Cole's return, we must look back at the mysterious cases of Ian Ward and Jordan. Both characters, in their own right, had been presumed dead, their lives snuffed out in moments that seemed final and irrevocable. Yet, as with many soap operas, death is never as permanent as it first appears. Ian and Jordan, both seemingly lost to the world, returned to wreak havoc on the lives of the people around them, revealing that their deaths had been carefully orchestrated deceptions. Could Cole have followed in their footsteps? Is it possible that, much like Ian and Jordan, Cole is using an elaborate trick to fake his own death, to escape the inevitable toll his illness is taking on him, and to protect the people he loves? For Cole, whose life has been marred by struggle and emotional pain, this would be the ultimate act of control. Choosing when and how to leave, while leaving the illusion of death behind, would allow him to slip away and protect Victoria and Claire from the horrors of his suffering. Cole had always been someone who faced his struggles head-on. He had battled through countless obstacles, but this illness, this slow, agonizing decline, was something he couldn't conquer in the same way. But, as with Ian and Jordan, the possibility of a miraculous return cannot be ruled out. If Cole had faked his death, it would be the ultimate act of self-preservation, allowing him to reclaim his life on his own terms, even if that meant leaving Victoria and Claire with the painful belief that he was truly gone. The heartbreaking proposal. A final gesture of love before the finality of Cole's apparent death, there was one last moment of pure love, a gesture that would mark his final act of devotion to the woman he loved. Cole, knowing that his time was running out, made a decision to propose to Victoria, the woman who had been by his side through the ups and downs of his life. He knew that he would never have the chance to walk her down the aisle or live out the dreams they had once shared. But in this moment, in his final days, he wanted to give her something tangible, something to remember him by. Cole chose the perfect ring, one that symbolized the depth of his love and the future he longed to have with her. But as he knelt before Victoria, asking for her hand in marriage, there was no joy in his eyes, only a profound sense of sorrow and peace. He knew that this would be the last time they would share a moment like this. Victoria's face lit up with joy, her heart swelling with happiness as she accepted his proposal, blissfully unaware of the dark reality that loomed over them. For Claire, witnessing her father's final act of love, it was a moment of both joy and pain. She had always wanted her father to find happiness, and now, in his last moments, he was giving her that gift. But as Victoria accepted the ring, Cole's body, ravaged by illness, gave out. With a faint smile on his lips, he breathed his last breath, leaving behind a legacy of love and sacrifice. A final goodbye. Cole's death and the aftermath. The devastation that followed Cole's death was immediate and all-encompassing. Victoria, overwhelmed by the shock, held his lifeless body in her arms, pleading for him to wake up. But it was too late. The man she had loved was gone, leaving her heartbroken and lost. The ring on her finger felt heavy, a constant reminder of what could have been. Claire, too, was left in an emotional whirlwind, unable to process the loss of her father, the man who had fought so hard to protect her. But in the back of their minds, there remained the question, could Cole truly be gone? Or was this yet another deceptive trick, a clever ploy to escape the inevitable? If this is the end for Cole, it is a tragic conclusion to a character whose life was filled with unspoken sacrifices. His death, while heartbreaking, would stand as a testament to his love for Victoria and Claire. It would be a tragic end to his journey, one that would leave a permanent mark on the hearts of those who loved him. But could this truly be the final chapter for him? Could Cole return? The possibilities of soap opera drama in the world of the young and the restless, where nothing is ever truly as it seems, the possibility of Cole's return is always within reach. Could he have staged his death, only to return at a later time to confront the people he left behind? Or perhaps he is merely the latest victim of an unforgiving fate, his death truly final and irreversible? The potential for Cole's return opens up a world of possibilities. If he were to come back, it would add a layer of intrigue and drama that would leave viewers on the edge of their seats. Victoria and Claire, both reeling from his sudden loss, would have to come to terms with the shock of his reappearance. His return could bring closure to their grief, but it would also force them to confront the reasons behind his decision to fake his death in the first place. Was it a desire to protect them, or was there something more at play? A legacy of love and sacrifice. Whether Cole returns or not, his death serves as a poignant reminder of the lengths to which people will go for those they love. His final gesture, proposing to Victoria despite knowing he would never live to see their future, speaks to the depth of his love and his willingness to sacrifice for the happiness of those he cherished. His legacy, whether in death or in life, will continue to resonate within the hearts of Claire and Victoria. In the end, Cole's story is a tragic one, filled with love, loss, and the uncertainty of fate. His death, whether permanent or not, reminds us that sometimes the most profound acts of love come at the most unexpected moments. In a world where nothing is ever truly certain, Cole's story will remain etched in the hearts of viewers, a powerful testament to the power of love, sacrifice, and the mystery that lies in the unknown. In the intricate and often dangerous world of the young and the restless, the dynamics of control, the fear, and power often come into play, and Jordan's influence over Cole is a prime example of how much one person can dominate another's life. As we continue to unravel the tension in Cole's journey, we see the extent of Jordan's authority and the grip she has on those around her, especially Cole. But as the stakes rise, a new and potentially explosive question emerges. What would happen if Jordan turned her manipulative gaze onto Claire? Jordan's command over Cole, fear and obedience. Jordan has always been a character with power, ruthlessness, and a sharp mind that she uses to manipulate others to her advantage. Her role as Cole's boss has created a toxic dynamic between them. Despite Cole's inherent strength and resilience, his relationship with Jordan is not one of mutual respect but of fear and obligation. For him, Jordan represents a force that he cannot easily escape. Her hold over him is not just professional but deeply personal, as she knows exactly how to control him. When Jordan orders Cole to leave Genoa, there is little room for rebellion. The fear of what she might do if he disobeys outweighs any desire for freedom he may have had. Jordan's influence is too powerful for Cole to challenge, and even though he might want to stay with Victoria and Claire, he must ultimately comply with her demands. The idea of leaving everything behind, of walking away from the life he had started to build, is devastating to him. But when the alternative is facing Jordan's wrath, it becomes clear that leaving Genoa might be the only option left for Cole. His departure is not just about physical relocation but about fleeing from the control and fear that Jordan has embedded into his life. It's a choice of survival, albeit a painful one, and an act of submission to the cruel power dynamics she has imposed on him. As the tension grows, one has to wonder, how much longer can Cole endure under Jordan's oppressive influence before he finds a way to break free? Claire's stand against Jordan's authority, but the real twist in this story comes with the involvement of Claire. Claire, unlike Cole, is not someone who would simply bow to Jordan's control. She is someone who has fought for her place in Genoa City, carving out a life for herself that she has come to cherish. Her relationship with Cole has become a cornerstone of her existence, and the idea of losing it, or being forced to leave everything behind because of Jordan's whims, would never sit well with her. Jordan's command to Claire would undoubtedly be a power play, but it would not be something that Claire could easily accept. She has been through too much, fighting for her identity and her independence, to let someone like Jordan strip her of the life she has worked so hard to build. Claire is no stranger to the manipulation that surrounds her, but she is also no stranger to defiance. Unlike Cole, who is caught in the web of fear and control, Claire would not tolerate being ordered around by Jordan. If Jordan were to order Claire to leave Genoa and return to her side, the very idea would be met with fierce resistance. Claire craves the life she has now, her independence, her relationship with Kyle, and the sense of belonging she has found. She's not about to let Jordan take that away from her. In fact, this would likely spark a battle between the two women, one that would test Claire's strength and resilience to its limits. Claire's resolve, defying Jordan's control. Claire's desire for independence and self-determination would become the cornerstone of her resistance. She has spent so long craving approval, particularly from the Newman family, and now that she has a foothold in the world she's always wanted, the last thing she's going to do is let Jordan dictate her future. This is her life, and she's determined to protect it, no matter what Jordan might try. Jordan's authority, which once seemed so unshakable, would find its match in Claire's unyielding determination. Claire's drive to hold on to her life, her relationships, and her newfound strength would propel her into direct conflict with Jordan. Rather than bowing down to her manipulative commands, Claire would fight to maintain her position in Genoa City. She wouldn't just run from Jordan's control. She would actively push back, showing the world, and herself, that she is no longer the frightened girl she once was. The idea of Claire standing up to Jordan is not just about defiance, it's about reclaiming her life and taking control of her own destiny. Claire is no longer content to let others dictate her fate. She has spent too long in the shadow of others, waiting for approval and validation. Now that she has found her footing, she is ready to take on anyone who threatens to take it away from her. The clash between two powerful women. If the conflict between Claire and Jordan were to escalate, it would be a battle of wills, a showdown between two women who refuse to back down. Claire, fueled by her desire to protect the life she has built, would be an incredibly formidable opponent. Her strength, determination, and unwavering love for those she cares about would make her a force to be reckoned with. Jordan, on the other hand, has the experience of manipulation and control on her side, and she would stop at nothing to maintain her influence over those around her.